Today on the show, we tell you a story, a tale, if you will. A tale of the Empire.
Hello there, and welcome to the Lost Cantina, the podcast that explores the stories, characters, and themes behind our favorite galaxy far, far away. I'm Kevin.
I'm Jaden.
And we have another person here. Hello there, mister.
Hello there. Yes, indeed.
General Connor.
General Connor himself. No, it's great to be here. I am Connor Howard, of course, another producer here on the Lore Party Podcast Network, and it's a pleasure to be. Actually, this might be my first official Lost Cantina episode.
You're usually working behind the scenes like a secret empire of an ancient order, but now we've brought you forward. Which, if the lore we're talking about is any indication, that means we're about to have a drastic drop in quality. I disagree. I think you'll add a boon to our franchise, but there
you go.
I'm so used to pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Exactly.
The
one you have on my back is worn out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You need to rewind me a little.
It is exciting to be on stage with you fellas.
We've been trying to make this happen since we started talking about the podcast, honestly, and you've always been busy with other stuff.
Editing is a full-time job, kind of sometimes.
Yeah. Turns out all we needed to do was wave early access to a Star Wars property in your face.
That'll do it.
I just think Connor's hot. That's all.
Oh, Kev.
Well,
y'all don't know. Y'all don't know.
We all agree with that. Why do we need to bring that up?
Exactly.
Oh, do go on. But no, speaking of early access, this was a very fortuitous episode to do, and we're all very grateful and very happy to have this opportunity to have a sneak peek of a new show dropping right about now. And if you're listening to this, you're probably about to watch it yourself, or you already have if you're really quick on the draw. But we're psyched to be welcoming Tales of the Empire to the Star Wars pantheon of media, and we were able to watch it a little ahead of time, which is so exciting.
Very cool.
So awesome.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into that stuff, you guys got to realize this is going to be very spoiler heavy on day one. So watch it first. We're going to split this up into 2 episodes. We're going to split it up into the first 3 episodes, which have a theme, and we will get into that before the main discussion. And then the other 3 episodes have another theme. That's the only spoiler you'll get at the moment. We're not going to continue on that.
Right.
Oh, I will. Palpatine loses his underwear in the first 3 episodes, and regains his underwear in the second 3 episodes.
Somehow
his underwear return.
Yeah. But anyway, stay tuned for part 2 of this discussion, which will be coming out shortly as well. And needless to say, if you haven't watched Tales of the Empire, which is 6 episodes, they're relatively short episodes. They're kind of we're gonna
vignettes, if breeze through them pretty quickly, I think here. But
that's right.
We're gonna try to get as much detail as we can, or is that we
right.
We're gonna talk about the scenes that we want to talk about. These 2 episodes are gonna be a little different than some of our review series going in the past, and we're experimenting with new formats with new shows coming out. So I think we're gonna do less episode by episode discussions and more of talk of just things we liked, things we didn't like, more general. Because honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably saw the episode already.
Yeah, you might not need the blow by blow of every single episode, but I mean, we'll recap it for you. We'll tell you what happens, but then really spend most of our time on the takeaways and what we enjoyed about it, the themes we saw in action, and we'll dive into all that. But of course, again, one more spoiler warning. Pause right now and go watch Tales of the Empire if you haven't already.
Seriously. Yeah. So we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping first. Obviously, we love to hear from all of you, our listeners. So, of course, email us, thelostcantinapod@gmail.com. Email us whatever you want. Not whatever you want. I'll take that back. Email us
within reason.
Within reason on
Email
Star
us
Wars.
whatever you want. Listen to me. Anything that you want to send me, I want to see it. Just know it might be distributed amongst the group, and we will all laugh at you if you send us.
We'll laugh at you, but no filters.
Yeah, we'll laugh at you, sure. Now, also with socials, we are mostly now on TikTok and Instagram at The Lost Cantina. There is still an X account, but I don't see us using it very often. We're all making that face like
that's a weird place these days. Yeah,
I will never leave it, but at the same time, I'm going to be on the ship when it's to be playing the cellos as the ship sinks. I think as it goes away slowly.
That site is too funny to abandon.
That's exactly it. It's so funny.
There's still some funny stuff happening there, but yeah, follow us anyway. It'll be fun.
So yeah, we're going to be around on socials. Just, be on the lookout.
Yep.
And then, of course, before we dive in again, spoilers. We're going to keep saying this because day one, spoilers.
Right. But first, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So stick around.
All right. So we're back. The theme for this one, we're just going to say it out loud. It's basically the Sith code. It's the Sith path, if you will, that Yoda explained to Anakin. They do it like that purposefully. The episodes are stated the path of fear, the path of anger, the path of hate. So
that's right.
That's kind of an obvious given as soon as you realize it.
That's right.
When you see the first title.
The road to the dark side informs these first 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire. That's a good point.
It's kind of cool to see this episode too, because it's almost like, well, all these 3 episodes, because it follows Morgan Elsbeth's journey, which is, by the way, fuck yeah, we get to see more Morgan. Like, that was cool. But it follows her journey, and it almost is like a comparison to Ahsoka's journey, because they both start off kind of as children in it. Honestly, these 3, I would say these 3 encompass that. Throw away the Dooku episodes, but it's like you have Ahsoka, Morgan Elsbeth, and then we'll mention the other person in the other episode. But it's a nice way of showing people's paths and their journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And how they can all lead to completely different places, but then also they can all meet up in the same area.
Right off the bat, I think I want to just get this out of the way real quick. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. I mean, Bad Batch just wrapped up with an amazing finale, which hopefully we'll get to talk about eventually. This Tales of the Empire was fantastic, and then Star Wars Celebration tickets went on sale. So we're in more on that in the end of part 2. We have a special announcement regarding that. So,
absolutely, it's we're eating well right now. I think
absolutely,
and it's exciting to have also in the not just with television and movies, but in the video game sphere. I mean, Star Wars Outlaws looks pretty cool, and Jedi Survivor last year was phenomenal. So things are good. We have a lot to enjoy right now, and as Kevin mentioned, these first 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire, they deal exclusively with basically the origin story, pretty much the path that Morgan Elsbeth walks up until we really get to know her in The Mandalorian and the Ahsoka series. Yep. So, really fun stuff. I'll go ahead and kick us off with episode 1, The Path of Fear.
Yes.
So, we start on Dathomir, and it's, right out of the gate. We're in the hot zone. It's a melee. It's a battle on Dathomir where we see separatist battle droids just massacring the Night Sisters.
There's a direct connection to the Clone Wars episode where we saw this, but it's from a different perspective, which was very interesting to see, like Grievous just walking around in the battle.
Right.
Grievous is terrifying in this, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say there's so we focus in on a young Morgan and her mother, and that we get this pretty soon into the episode we get this awesome fight scene between Morgan's mother and General Grievous. Really cool choreography. It's really tense. And then like you said, Grievous is ice cold, ruthless.
One thing that I actually thought was really cool is they were using those bow and arrows, those magic bow and arrows. That was sick.
It's kind of like bowcasters almost, but more recurve bow than crossbow casters. That was kind of cool.
And what was interesting too was the magic was purple. wasn't green, it was purple, which I liked.
So,
I liked that it was a because they're known to have like mostly green. Like I say magic, like it's
those were energy bows. They weren't magic bows, but we did get to see. Some
I thought
cool
there
magic.
was a magic involved though. It looked like there was magic involved in it.
Energy. The magic we saw is from the weapons that her mom had.
Yeah.
It's like a blaster weapon, but just in the shape of a bow.
Exactly.
It's cool. It's fucking
that's what I
sick.
took.
That's what one of the monks from Rogue One had. He had that bow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Kind of like that.
Right.
Yeah, Chirrut, I think.
Yeah,
Chirrut had that. No, yeah, super cool scene, cool intro. Again,
anytime that we can see Grievous is actually being effective is fantastic. Like,
the
Clone Wars kind of made him look like, like the original Clone Wars, the Tarkovsky Clone Wars made him look terrifying, and then Lucas went, "No, I want him to be an idiot. I want him to lose."
He has to get clowned on a lot.
Everyone has to be able to beat him, even a bunch of fucking Gungans. They need to stab him a lot. He did lose the Gungans. You got to remember that. You can never forget that Grievous lost.
That's canon. It's official. But no, he was ice cold here. He defeats Morgan's mother and then mocks Morgan with her mother's last word to her, which was "run."
Yep.
Like he just cuts this woman down and then just like laughs cruelly, sinisterly at her terrified daughter. It's ridiculous, dude. It's like, dude, Grievous, chill out, man.
Right? And like, so like he says to chase her, and she's running around trying to hide and everything, and she basically just gets knocked out, but like they think she's dead. They're like, oh, she's dead, whatever. But what's wild is you just hear him as she's hiding, and you just hear him walking around. You hear blasters going up. You hear all these sounds, and then you just hear him laughing in the flames and the fire and like the destruction. And it's just this disgusting laugh of evil. And you're like, oh, fuck, that's dark. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh yeah, we're eating. Okay.
The other thing I liked about the episode too was that I liked Morgan's mother's like, I don't know what you call those swords, like the curved sword she had,
like sickles.
Yeah, when she infused the magic with them. I don't know if you noticed, like they turned green, but as she was fighting and losing the fight, they started slowly turning red as they started going down, like it was a health bar in a video game.
I didn't notice.
Well, we see the same thing to happen to Morgan. Like we see all of a sudden, like the symbols on her face just disappear as she starts to like
the magic erodes away.
Yeah, they mentioned that later. The Night Sister magic starts to be dispelled, basically, like it loses cohesion.
Yeah,
which, that was cool too. A lot of show over tell here, which is pretty neat. And yeah, like so before she passes out and kind of sleeps the rest of the battle away, Morgan's chased by commando droids, which for my money, I still think commando droids are still one of the coolest things to come out of the Clone Wars series. Like I just personally, I think they're a really interesting character design, and like I like how threatening and capable they are. So that was pretty fun.
It's nice refreshment from the incompetence of the regular battle droids.
Right. And watching her try to like fight one off, like just between that and the opening fight between her mother and Grievous, like I thought the choreography all over the place in this episode was really strong. So really just well-paced action.
Later on in the episode, she gets picked up too by the Mountain Clan, which I found super interesting because it's nice to see different sections of Dathomir where, because most of the Night Sister clan, like we know, right? Like we know of them. We see them in the video games. We're seeing them in other shows. We're seeing like, okay, cool, great. But the Mountain Clan is just very complete polar opposite, and it's almost like a really cool, like stark difference of like Jedi Sith, right? In terms of fighting and like their belief systems and that kind of stuff. Because the Mountain Clan is like super peaceful. They're just, I don't want to, I guess you could akin them to Jedi because it's like, okay, they're, peaceful, monk conflict style. They're, going to be pacifists and try to hide and all that.
Right.
If you want to take it to that, everybody's going to do that in Star Wars. They're always going to compare Sith to Jedi in some way and try to associate people to that. But it is really cool because they're very just different, right? Like they're just completely different than what we're normally used to.
Yeah, and we see that dichotomy play out right away with the elder of the Mountain Clan and Morgan having this immediate disagreement of, Morgan obviously being concerned with how they're going to defend themselves if the droids find them up here on the mountains, and obviously the clan their attitude is just, well, we'll just hide. We won't go. Yeah. Won't start none. Don't be none. We're going to stick to our, keep to ourselves and leave them alone. And I a couple quotes I noticed that were pretty cool is the elder tells the younger members of the Mountain Clan, the younger sisters, do not give your fear such fertile ground to take root, which, to your point, Kevin, is very much a Jedi style philosophy of don't feed your fear. It's normal to feel it, but if you feed it, it'll grow. Versus Morgan's attitude, which is your friends are right to be scared because she just came out of what happens when the droids find you and you can't defend yourself. So it's
to add to that, obviously the episode is called The Path of Fear. And one thing that I noticed is that the beginning of like Tales to the Jedi, right? Like showcasing like the pathway of like the Jedi way, if you will. This is kind of, if you think about it, Palpatine with, the Clone Wars, right? Palpatine was seeding fear in generations of people through like these droids and just this war. And so when he took over on the Empire, he used that fear to make people want to say, okay, great, we'll use him, he'll be dictator for life kind of bullshit, but he's also spreading that fear in other generations of like people that he can control, right? He can control people with fear. And obviously fear leads to the dark side, yada, yada. We got that. But this is one of those things where now Morgan has fear, right? Whether she says it out loud or not, obviously she's scared right now because everybody died. Her mom, she just watched her mom die. She was clearly scared of Grievous. Now Morgan is seeding fear into others, right?
The Mountain Clan,
and fear, as you can see in these scenes, fear begins to spread like a disease, and that's kind of the point. What Palpatine wants,
I hear it's
eventually,
mind
anyway.
Killer.
Yeah, there you go.
I've heard it being said, yes.
Yeah, but it gives the Emperor power, right? And so Morgan's now using her anger to feed into the fear as well, because she's so pissed and she's like and she's like angry and wants revenge too now. Like it's like a switch. Like you could see it in the episode. It like goes from fear to anger right away, and you're like, oh shit. And so that fear is the theme, obviously, of this episode. But you can see it like only a couple comments, and then all of a sudden these other people are scared.
And of course that leads them to listen to Morgan, and they take her advice, and they all seek out a weapons cache nearby. They sneak out of the Mountain Clan village, and they go find some spears and bows and whatnot. Morgan finds a pair of sickles like her mother wielded, but unfortunately the droids find them, and immediately everyone dies basically. And the Mountain Clan mother shows up, and she turns out to be very capable of fighting as well. She shows up with some force abilities of her own.
Yeah.
And another quote she drops that I found pretty memorable: "You must not assume that just because someone does not want to fight, they are not capable." And again, very Jedi philosophy. Like, being peaceful is not the same as being harmless, is a classic of theirs. And so, you have this kind of moral being set up between, Morgan's point, which is isolation won't save you if the enemy seeks you out. If someone wants to come kill you, hiding won't do it. Hiding's not good enough. But at the same time, she made the decision to seek out weaponry, which directly led to lives being lost. So you get this kind of gray area of like, no one's right. Everyone has their own way of dealing with these circumstances of, when war comes to your planet, and no one's necessarily right or wrong. But I think coming back to how we started this episode, this discussion, is that the same circumstances can lead you down different paths. Different people can change into different adults, can grow into different people through the same things, like with Morgan and Ahsoka kind of having similar backgrounds, but becoming such different people later in life.
Now, another thing, too, that's really a last tidbit for this episode is it begins with a daughter losing a mother, and it ends with a mother losing a daughter.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's a yin and yang situation with there, too, because the mother still doesn't, even though she lost her daughter, she does not go to anger. She doesn't go to the fear. She goes to just, sadness, if anything, but she
just mourns.
Mourns and is like, okay, here's my situation. And
she's not even angry at Morgan. She's just angry at the situation, which is incredible. The restraint that she shows.
And if we can quote Lucas again really quick, it's like poetry. It rhymes. It rhymes. But no, it actually like all in all seriousness, like the synchronicity of this story, this tale, episode 1, The Path of Fear, is pretty cool. Like I think it was well written. It was a tight loop. It was a nice tight story, and then it perfectly sets up the other 2 parts of this branch exploring Morgan's background. So, any final thoughts on The Path of Fear, fellas?
No, I think it was. I think it. I love. We're gonna talk about this more, but like I love the idea that the Tales series just tells the little stories that Dave Filoni wanted to tell, but he just didn't have the time to dedicate it. Because this whole thing would have been too long as a full episode. Wars or Rebels. Like this would have been too long, and I like the way this was like nice, digestible, bite sized.
Yeah, I think finding out which stories to tell and deciding how best to tell them is definitely a science and an art that. Filoni I'm not like the biggest Filoni stan in the world. Jaden, that title goes to you.
It is indeed. His helmet is right there.
I will say that like that is something he's very good at. Like he definitely has a knack for like not just deciding what stories to tell, but in this case, how to tell them effectively. Like we've said, this story didn't need an feature length film. It was perfect for a 15-minute adventure through, and of course it continues with part 2 and part 3. For episode 2 and 3, but no, it's effective. This is effective storytelling. I thought it was pretty cool.
Now, part 2 was my jam. It was a love letter to Legends. It was my freaking jam, man.
Yeah, 2 was cool. Yeah, that does bring us to episode 2 of Tales of the Empire, The Path of Anger. This one was neat.
I liked episode 1, but I think you guys liked it a little more. Episode 2 was my shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
2 was good.
My God.
So we opened on, we kind of flash forward a few years, we go forward in time, and at this time, the Empire is in power. It's no longer the Republic. It's during the time of the Galactic Empire, and Morgan is now a planetary magistrate, and she's also doing a PowerPoint presentation. She's doing a pitch deck.
She's got a keynote.
She's doing a keynote presentation to some Imperial brass, some Moffs, admirals, high-ranking guys. And she's basically presenting technical plans for the TIE Defender, an iconic starfighter that we've seen in various media. And she's also saying, "Hey, hey guys, here's an idea. How about we put shields on the TIE fighter?"
That's crazy talk.
That's great.
Yeah. Wow, no. I will add 10 cents on the dollar to every TIE fighter.
Yeah. So, and really quick, this is a quick side note, but when we get introduced to this episode, I liked how the opening shot was basically an Imperial class Star Destroyer flying with an escort of a few. Basically, they looked like Republic era Venators that were being converted.
Dude, it was my favorite shot. I love it.
That was so fucking cool. I was like, that's like you see the transition from
the transitionary fleet, and I'm like, I was just sitting there and I was like, that. I'm gonna get Star Wars ship nerd real quick. That is probably the best fleet deployment that you could have with those 2 ships, because you have the Venators' big complaint was that it didn't pack heavy firepower. Star Destroyer's complaint was that it lacked point defense and proper starfighter screening. The Venator would have, that fleet deployment would have covered it so well.
That's
fucking
a well-rounded,
Empire hates budget cuts.
Yeah. That's a well-rounded task force right there. Yeah, absolutely.
God, one Venator in a Rebel fleet would have been great.
Now in this presentation, she gets looked over, obviously. They're kind of all right.
Shot down immediately.
Yeah.
We're not approving this budget at all.
Getting picked over by the Empire? Oh yeah, no, surprise. But basically they ask her, they were like, where are you, like, what kind of planet are you from? Like, what talk to, they like kind of like ask her these questions, and she says, oh, like, I come from this system that has a lot of resources. And they're like, cool, we'll be seeing you in like a week, because we want those resources. Fuck
we don't want your designs.
We don't want your designs, or we just want to take
we'll take your stuff. We'll take your stuff. Yeah, so planet Corvus, where Morgan is the magistrate, is immediately in the crosshairs of, hey, we're gonna, Imperial occupation is now on the horizon. And she's approached, after this, fucking over by the board of directors. Morgan's approached by another, admiral, a captain actually.
So when I first saw him walk up, I saw the mustache, and I was like, oh, maybe it's Admiral Yularen, or I guess Colonel Yularen, because he's with the ISB. And then he started talking, and I'm like, ooh, that's a new voice.
Yeah,
that's my boy. That's Captain Pelion.
Pelion, that's right. I forgot his name, but yeah. So Captain Pelion approaches and kind of like
bringing legends to life. Literally
That's right.
dragging them, kicking and screaming.
And we love to see it. He sort of like seems to probe Morgan a bit, like tries to find out more about her.
Yeah.
He's asking about her motivations, like why do you do what you do? Like what made you want to try and, improve the processes and the situation of the Empire. And she claims that she, wants to benefit for the glory of the Empire. She gives the party line basically. She kind of gives the answer that she probably thinks that he wants. But he doesn't seem convinced, and neither does she. So it's kind of like, what are you?
It's kind of funny because his reaction is just like, okay. Right.
So the interesting difference between Paleon in Legends and Paleon in the new canon is in Legends, Paleon was a highly competent starship captain who Thrawn kind of attached himself to because of his competence, and from the books we kind of see Thrawn through Paleon's eyes. Like he tells Thrawn's story through his own perspective, and so in that whole time he's always in awe of, he's always like talking about like, oh, how Thrawn unnerves him, how he's always impressed by his brilliance and all that stuff. This version of Paleon is like Thrawn's right hand man from the get go, from the jump.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that new idea of like, oh no, I'm just a ride or die for my boy, boy Thrawn. Like I know how he operates, and I like this. It's very interesting. It's a different take, but it's actually one that I think improves a lot on just the dynamic between the two of them. Like I can't wait to see the live action. We've already seen live action Paleon. He was part of the Shadow Council in season 3 of Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
he was Thrawn's voice, and Moff Gideon was like, "You keep talking about Thrawn, but where is he?
Where is he? I'll see him."
Yeah. Now, one thing after this is she flies back to this planet, and it's really funny because she's in that gold ship that she loves so much. She really likes her gold. I noticed that she really likes her gold.
Loves to make a statement and flex on everyone. Yeah.
Now she gets into a little tiff with the people of the planet because they are like, hey, you promised us that we're gonna have jobs and we're gonna the normal thing that somebody of a representative should be like.
You told us that if we agreed to be indentured servants, basically, we'd at least get some prosperity out of it. But where's that gone?
Yeah, and so they find out that she failed essentially, and she says, get over it. I got nothing for you. She's like, too bad. What did I do for you? I made your planet. You are just a shitty little town on this fucking planet. And what did I do?
Nothing without me.
You'd be nothing without me. And like clearly she's like just pissed off in general, so she's taking it out on these people, obviously. And the guy who clearly was the one who's in charge of this town, if you will, besides her, he says everything comes at a cost, including failure, because people start screaming at her. People are calling her a witch, and they're throwing shit, and she's just like, fuck you, and just walks into her little fortress house.
Right.
She was only ever using these people.
Yeah. And what I took from that is, reflecting on part 1 and seeing how that has carried forward to now, it seems to be like control is second nature to Morgan. Like having control of her life violently taken from her earlier, I think that she's overcorrected, and like now, like I have to control everything. I have to be in charge of things. It's kind of a pathological need for her. And so, it wasn't enough for her to live among the people of Corvus. She had to be in charge of them and kind of direct their destiny. And when they, as she sees it, turn on her, it's a betrayal. She's like, it's classic narcissism, really. Like, how dare you not appreciate what I've done for you against your will, basically. And,
how dare you not appreciate what I have done, which is nothing.
And so like losing her people as a youth has scarred her permanently. She no longer is able to have people that she cares about unconditionally now. It's sad. So like you said, she kind of isolates herself, and later as she's taking a nightly stroll on the wall around her town, fucking out of nowhere, assassin shows up and tries to take her out. And this
hell yeah,
not just any assassin, a Nogri assassin by the name of Rook.
So do you know who this guy is?
Yes. Yes, I do. He is also from the books. He is Thrawn's...
Didn't recognize him
Thrawn's
myself.
right-hand man, right-hand assassin.
Gotcha.
And he's
I'm
incredible, which means we're probably getting the epic... I'm hoping we're going to get the betrayal of the Nogri from the books in the show.
Man,
which would be cool.
I'm happy for you because there's a lot of lore, like legends tidbits and stuff that like is lost on me. But I guess from your perspective, you're that Leo meme from.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm happy for you. I think that's great. But yeah, to me, it was just some fucking guy shows up with a sword basically, and
he starts winning.
Off. Yeah, he's got Morgan on the back foot. She's defending herself with that Beskar spear and using it pretty effectively. But yeah, cool.
And
scene.
the villagers are watching, and
that's true.
Everybody is watching, and they go, "Oh, should we do something?" And the guy who said, the quote earlier, the one who's clearly in charge of the town under her, he's just like, "No, fuck her, let her die."
No, she's fine.
Like, he's just like, "No, don't do anything.
Let them work it out themselves. They're fine.
Let those kids solve their problems."
So eventually, Morgan kind of wins. She manages to get the upper hand, and Rook is on his back. And then it turns out that the assassination attempt was actually a recruitment attempt. This scene was awesome. I loved seeing her really put the Beskar spear to work, which was fun to watch. But even better was when Thrawn shows up. He just kind of walks in out of the shadows.
A young, not
so
Grand
cool.
Admiral, a young Admiral Thrawn in a cool ass like black uniform.
So awesome. Yeah, he shows up to meet with Morgan personally. We find out that Pelion had kind of come in advance to get the measure of her, get the deal. And he shows up and starts dropping. He's immediately dropping wisdom and like as a character, Thrawn just has such a immediate strong charisma about him. Like you just like get drawn in by him immediately. Like he says something. He said the Empire is a magnificent construct. However, it's not without its vulnerabilities. Yeah, and I think it's those vulnerabilities he's here to talk. I love that part too. And it's those vulnerabilities he's here to talk to Morgan about because he realizes that she's a woman of ideas and ambition. And like I think you and I could do a lot of great work together.
Yep.
So.
Well, he also takes that to another level by saying, your answer was a lie. We know your answer was a lie. He says, all these people that I asked this question to, usually they'll say ambition. They'll say they want power, admiration, all these things of like greed. He mentions greed, but and then lists all these things. And he could tell, he was like, you're different. He goes, what is your actual reason? And her answer is revenge. And it's not power, it's not greed, it's ambition. She says, obviously, I want power. Obviously, I like those things, but it's revenge. And obviously, we have similar feelings from what she describes of what Anakin describes, right? She says they are true to those, that really care for the Empire. That's what they start discussing. And it's really interesting because, peace, prosperity, to my new empire. Like Anakin just gives a shit about that empire, right? He's like, I can save everything. I can do this, but it's also revenge on the Jedi. It's all these things. And he has all those things, but her main focus is just straight revenge. She just is like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
She has one singular goal, and that is revenge.
And the one quote I have at the end of the episode, we can continue, but at the end of the episode is they ask, since nothing happens, all these Star Destroyers show up, and it's Thrawn's Star Destroyers. We see them. And I think it's Star Destroyers, right? Or are they?
They're Star Destroyers.
Yeah. They are Star Destroyers. Yeah, they're Star Destroyers now. And they show up, and everybody's like, well, what's about to happen? Like, what's going on? And they ask that guy, and he says, they go, what does this mean? And he says, it means she won.
It means she
won. And they don't see it as a good thing, though.
No.
Because she won into she's in the know, if you will. She's in that crowd now, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. She got a promotion.
More people are gonna be here from the Empire, more security, more force. Oh great. Now I'm gonna be under watch all the time. Like it's kinda obvious. You start realizing as a citizen, you're like, oh shit.
Like you thought you were under someone's thumb before. Oh boy, you guys are
now you have Imperial protection in air quotes.
Right. Bringing it back to revenge being her motivation. That's what I took that as, like ending this episode. I thought, okay, well, obviously that's what she wants, but on whom? Like, where's it directed toward?
That was a good question because technically the Separatists are gone. Like Grievous is dead, so
right?
Who does she want revenge on?
Is it just kind of like anybody who crosses her?
Maybe that's being helpless.
Yeah, That's what I always think. Like I see that in other characters, in other projects, and other media, where it's kind of just that hurt people thing. Like when you're hurt.
You see that in Star Wars with Reva in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Like she didn't really have
all kinds of characters. All kinds of characters reflect that, where it's like once you've been damaged early on, you just you're incapable of having meaningful relationships with anyone that isn't based on like a power dynamic or whatever. And like revenge on the rest of the galaxy really is what drives her now. It's crazy. It's a little I don't know, I guess it's a little unfocused to me, but I still think it was communicated well and like in an interesting way. So
I didn't really feel like the anger though. And that's the only reason I say that is I didn't see her have any, outbursts. I didn't even see her have any decisions that led to anger, right? Like, or even made by anger. The only part I saw was like her turning and saying like, get over it. Like when those people were pissed at her, like I didn't really see her. I mean, maybe the fight scene was like her showcasing her anger and like her fighting style and how pissed she is. And she's just like, I'm going to fuck you up. Like maybe that, but it didn't, it felt more like everybody else was angry. So her actions based on her original fear and now revenge caused anger from other people rather than anger from her. So this is showcasing how those negative feelings can spread to other people and you can piss off more people. So when I say path of anger doesn't really make sense, I meant more to a her rather than to the overall story. So like, seeing all how these decisions affect people and these promises and all these things being broken. Yeah, they get pissed.
I mean, you can even argue that the anger has consumed her. She is fully embraced in the anger, where it's like she doesn't really have even a target for it. She's just in a stage where she's just perpetually bitter and angry, which Thrawn can use. If Thrawn focuses it in the direction that he wants, which is the security of his empire, he's all set to go.
And that's something he would totally do, like identify a tool and like how best to use it and immediately put it to use. And
in Legends, like the Nogri are a great example of that. Like there are these people that are fanatically loyal to Darth Vader, and he's like, hey, I'm pals with that guy. You like him? I'm pals with him. We hang out on the weekends.
Vader's your boy. He's my boy too. Let's go.
He served the Empire. You serve the Empire. I serve the Empire. Hey, you know what? How about you go kill Leia Organa for me? Sound good? Sound good.
But yeah, that leaves us with the end of episode 2 with the Path of Anger. Yeah, again, really well done, really cool stuff. I mean, to our earlier discussion, I almost think you could call it more the Path of Indifference. Just like, but that does speak to the way anger has kind of directed Morgan's life to this point and made her just sort of hollow and bitter, and we saw that on display here. And that leads us to, of course, the conclusion of this arc of Tales of the Empire, episode 3. The Path of Hate. But before we dive into that episode, we're going to take another quick ad break here, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and now we continue our discussion on Tales of the Empire with episode 3, The Path of Hate. Oh man.
This episode, this one's kind of intense. Like right off the bat, we see the suffering that the Empire brings right off the bat.
Absolutely. We open on, we're back on Corvus for this episode, and it's another time skip. We've gone forward another several years where the Empire is out, the New Republic is in. This is post episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and basically an ambassador shows up on Corvus, and this is a former villager of Corvus. It's a woman named Nadora who used to live here, left to join the New Republic, and has now come back to invite Corvus to, or invite Elsbeth really to relinquish her fiefdom basically and join the New Republic as a senator or whatever.
And the planet now we've seen, when I say like what the Empire brings, the suffering, this planet, these people look like shit. Okay, this place we saw run when down. It first started, like the town was like kind of okay-ish, and now it's just
an industrial.
It just looks worse. It's just like when we saw it, in Mando, like it's just not a happy-go-lucky place. But for some reason, Morgan's place is like, really nice. Like I will say for a anger, hatred person, a Sithy style person, her place is so calm and chill. And like I remember the fight in Ahsoka, I was like, or with Ahsoka, I was just like, damn, that's a really nice house. Like, how is she that fucking pissed off? And she doesn't live on a volcano or anything. Like, what's going on? You know, like
she's not quite Vader level extra.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, only the best for her because she runs this shit, so she gets the fanciest digs.
Well, the other thing too, I noticed like when we first got to Corvus, I was like, wow, this place is really unburnt. This place is really nice and clean and not on fire, not covered in ash and dead trees. That's weird. I wonder what would have happened.
It was basically, going from episode 2 to episode 3 here, it is like the village on Corvus goes from an industrial town to like post, I don't know, like Rust Belt, basically.
Yeah.
Like, for anyone not aware of what that means, I live in the Midwest. I live in Ohio.
I was just going to say, it's Ohio.
Basically, well, yeah, it's like Gary, Indiana, or Akron or Youngstown or
Space Ohio. Space Youngstown.
There used to be industry here. Now it's just kind of sad and gray and hollowed out, and that's where we are with Corvus now.
Space Detroit.
Sad, gray, and filled with depressed Browns fans.
Yeah, so we start episode 3, The Path of Fate, on Space Detroit, and the people here are obviously, they live in fear. They suffer under forced labor. It's not a happy place, and Nadora shows up with her New Republic guards, and they kind of walk around like, does no one know that everything's fine now? Does no one know the Empire's gone? Apparently, news travels slowly, especially here. And the conversation between Nadora and Morgan does not go well. It's basically, I mean, to be fair, Nadora did come pretty heavy with, hey, you're gonna have to step down or be arrested.
Yep.
She wrote a check she couldn't cash, basically, with that.
Which the nerve to show up to a planet you have no authority on and be like, guess what?
Yeah. There was a little bit of audacity there, and of course Morgan's answer is another hard-ass, cold-ass line that I thought was really cool. I remembered this quote was, she says, "My world's been burning since I was a child. Why should this one be any different?" Again, hurt people. Think about that.
Yeah,
Morgan's really just paying it forward. Like, I don't care what the fuck. I don't give a fuck what happens to this place. Let's bring it on.
See, and I attributed that to her becoming what she hated, because that's what the Separatists did to her planet. They burned it.
Yep.
And she's like, well, I don't give a shit anymore about these people. And it's like, hold on a second. You've been living here for years, even though you're a piece of shit. When you're quote unquote, helping these people,
your dictatorship,
it's still like your home, if you will. Like, this is where your domicile
is. This is your place. Like, these are your,
and you don't give a shit
people.
if it burns down. You've literally become what you hate. And that's like my purpose here to say the theme of hatred is, I think she became what she hated, not just her hatred for, everything that she hates. But I also noticed that she said it was her destiny, for her to be in charge and all this other shit. She's following her destiny. And I kept thinking to myself, the fucking Messiah complex with these people, like that's what keeps happening. The narcissism and all that, like they just get so enveloped in them, because she really is enveloped in herself, right? Like when we talk about the Ahsoka episodes, spoiler for Ahsoka, she even starts questioning Thrawn when she's there, because she's kind of been in charge of a lot of shit with his return for so long that to have somebody above her again, it's like kind of weird. She starts questioning him, or she doesn't really want to give up her quote life, her old life. Like, she clearly is reluctant in the Ahsoka episode. So it's just like, holy shit, you're so enveloped in yourself. And so that's, I think, another thing is why she just doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Yeah,
for sure. And so again, this conversation goes south, and predictably Morgan orders Nadora and her guards to be killed. And really quick, I gotta mention how Nadora makes another attempt to threaten Morgan into stepping down, which is something along the lines of, the New Republic is aware of your crimes. Your crimes are well known.
Yep.
And so that made me think, like, if Morgan Elsbeth's crimes are so quote unquote well known, couldn't the New Republic maybe have sent more guards? Maybe not just 5 dudes with sidearms.
That's the fucking problem with the new Disney New Republic, is that they're all fucking stupid. They have collective brain rot that baffles me. It's like they because in order to make The Force Awakens happen, But Connor, you haven't been here for us. But this is my this part of the show we like to call Jaden rants about the stupidity of the Disney timeline.
I've edited your audio before. I'm well aware.
Oh
of your
my
rants.
fucking god! It pisses me off. It's like, hey, we just defeated a global or a galactic empire. Let's immediately throw all of these guns, these perfectly usable guns, into a trash compactor, and then be shocked when no one fucking listens to us.
Yeah, I can't fathom this New Republic being the government that Leia Organa, Mon Mothma, Garm Bel Iblis, like those war heroes and awesome badass geniuses created.
Exactly.
Like, there's no way this is the New Republic those people made. Come on.
It's like no shit the New Republic loses in one day fighting the First Order. They actually have a military.
Yeah. So anyway, that did cross my mind. But that's beside the point. Nadora, narrowly survives the shootout. Her guards, though, they get picked off one after another, and she flees to her ship. But unfortunately, Morgan's guards blow it up, and she's caught in the explosion, mortally wounded in the fires. Very, very downer. A few minutes here, and tense, shocking scene. So after blowing up Nadora's ship, the guards from Corvus then march forward with their flamethrowers and just burn down the woods.
They burn down the whole woodland.
And I'm like, for what reason exactly? What did the trees do to you?
Yeah, that was
show of power.
Just fuck it. That's why.
Honestly, it kind of felt like they were sitting there and they went, "Oh shit, hey, the forest was burned in the Ahsoka episode. Ah, fuck, you're right." Yeah,
we got a continuity fix right there.
Hold on. Here's one of the reasons why I think this actually works, right? So, one, metaphor, right? She has a burning hatred, if that will,
sure,
of
course.
That. So, I think that she was showcasing to the people there that she literally is willing to let this place fucking burn. Like,
that's
she's
fair.
literally like she's saying, like, hey.
Yeah.
I said, my world was burning around me, and I'm willing to let this world burn. I wasn't just being emo about it.
I was supposed to say she's an emo girl.
I'll commit the arson, man. Fuck.
I meant that literally.
Yeah, I meant that literally. And one of the cool things is the first episode starts with her being surrounded by fire, and we have the silhouette of her like with her mother and all this stuff. And this episode ends with her standing there, turning her back to the flames and walking out. And I was
poetic.
Oh, fuck. It rhymes, guys. Like that.
It rhymes. It's poetic.
It's more jowl. I think, Kevin, more jowl.
I really think that's the showcase here, is not just metaphorically showing her burning hatred, but also showcasing that she really doesn't give a fuck. She will burn this place to the ground to get what she wants.
Reminding her people that she means business. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Fair, yeah. So, and we're kidding, George. We love you. And so, luckily though, it seems that a short distress call managed to get sent out by Nadora before she succumbs to her injuries. There seems to be no hope for the people of Corvus right now, but we do know eventually that Ahsoka will come set things right with Din Djarin's help, of course. But my lingering question at the end here, and that is the last shot we end with, to Kevin's point, is Morgan kind of, framed by the fires and, walking away from turning her back on them. But we also noticed that Nadora's distress call is answered by none other than Bo-Katan. And I was thinking about that, like, what is the significance of that? Considering that Ahsoka's the one who actually comes to stop Morgan, like, what's Bo-Katan have to do with this? Again, this might just be a lack of knowledge on my part, so I'm not sure if something. But
I think it's one of those things where she got the distress call, doesn't, I'm going to put you in a scenario of Bo-Katan, just in her mindset. I am trying to raise money to destroy and retake Mandalore. Destroy the Empire and retake Mandalore. So I'm going to take any distress call that I can get and, like, answer it and get paid for rescuing them. Hey, I got your distress call. What's going on? It immediately gets cut off. That's weird. Hey, Ahsoka, this planet was attacked. Oh, really? What planet? It's called Corvus? And she's like, let me look into that real quick. Oh, Morgan Elsbeth lives there.
Wow, that could be.
She knows who Thrawn is.
I think that the two of them are still in contact. Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. Like I think the thing is here though is the Empire's gone. So now Bo-Katan is like, okay, I need to figure out how to raise troops in general. So she is willing to do distress calls because she can recruit people from them. Like, oh, I save you, you now help me. That kind of thing. I also think that she's like knows about the planet. I think she knows where the planet is, and I think she's like, oh, I have intel on that planet, and she gave it to Ahsoka to say, hey, remember that chick that you've heard about? I think you should go fuck her up. Like, that's how I think it is. I think it was more of like asking a favor of Ahsoka possibly, or something like that. Like, I think they've been in contact for quite some time. They might not really like each other, but I think they've been in contact
they've been in contact since the Siege of Mandalore. Just not you know, they've known of each other since the Siege of Mandalore. Maybe they're not in contact. Now
they're still pen pals.
Yeah, they're still, exactly. They send each other Facebook updates.
Yeah.
But overall, I think, you know, this episode I liked a little bit more than the other ones, because I think it was cool to see her just not give a fuck.
Yeah.
I thought this whole little mini, you know, trilogy for her was pretty cool because I really felt underwhelmed with her character in the other stuff in terms of the amount of content I got. So now we just received, you know, a little extra story behind her, and it was great. It was really fun.
I did find myself laughing when I said, thank you so much for the refreshing character backstory. Character who's dead and will never come back.
Well, hey, we don't know that. Maybe she,
you know,
she is a night sister.
No one's ever really gone.
She is a night sister, and she is technically imbued with, you know, the mother's magic. So
okay, but let me run through what happened to her. Sliced with a lightsaber. Okay. Building her body was on, destroyed by orbital bombardment.
Well, hold on. There are people surviving lightsaber stabs here. You know that. Hold on a second here. Hold on.
Lightsaber wounds are surprisingly easy to survive.
Plus orbital bombardment.
That's the new thing we're adding to the list. Hey, you can survive it too.
Yeah, that's coming next. We're gonna find out how to survive orbital bombardment next.
Look, she got the mother's magic. Okay,
technically, Ahsoka did survive it by running through it. Or in the early
she got the mother's magic here. Okay, she got the full package. She got the upgraded platinum package of survival. So it's a little different tier here. You know,
she bought the collector's edition.
Qui-Gon Jinn did one payment of $19.99 like a couple months ago. It expired. Morgan has done a full 2 years of $19.99 for the little low price, right? Like she's gonna survive this one.
Just we'll watch it happen. Yeah, but no, that wraps up. Like as you put it, little mini trilogy on Morgan Elspeth with the first 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire. I think I've gone over everything. Again, really cool, well directed, well thought out stories, nice little bite size adventures from this galaxy far, far away. Any final thoughts on these first 3 episodes, fellas?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, guys.
Yeah. So I guess I think actually number 2, Path of Anger is probably my favorite out of these first 3. I thought
Path of Anger is mine as well.
Thrawn was cool as hell. The fight was cool as hell. It's just fun stuff. And
I think I liked it because it was like we got the Morgan backstory, but also like we got some spicy stuff to come, like some more fleshing out of Thrawn.
Mm-hmm. And excited to talk about the rest. The next 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire, which we will cover in part 2 of this discussion. So keep an eye on your podcast feed, and we'll see you there.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please take a second to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us grow the show. And be sure to connect with us on Instagram and TikTok at The Lost Cantina. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.